Elizabeth I, the great Tudor Queen of England, is said to have remarked that out of Devon came all her best men, her wisest councillors, her most skillful generals, and her bravest admirals. Raleigh, Grenville, Frobisher, Hawkins, Gilbert, Drake. Men whose voyages brought wealth to the coffers of England, who with gusto singed the King of Spain's beard, who from historic quayside steps like these, the Mayflower steps at Plymouth, set out to the founding of a new world. This is the Devon of the history books, the seafaring Devon, the Devon of the sea dogs and the great harbours. But at the heart of Devon, there is a different land. This is Dartmoor, remote, a place of solitude, fascinating in all its seasons. A land whose stones are weathered granite, a domain where the archaeology of prehistoric man, his monuments and trackways, cattle pounds and villages of clustered stone-walled huts, still lie as they were built 3, 4, or 5,000 years ago. Here, Sherlock Holmes tracked down the legendary Hound of the Baskervilles. And here, in the wilder parts, men still speak of ancient and mysterious things, things born of mist and marsh and mire and water. The moor demands respect. Grim, the prospect of Dartmoor prison, built a century and a half ago when no visitor to the moor came willingly. But times have changed. Today, the moor is a national park, welcoming and absorbing its visitors who come for very different reasons to discover the many pleasures that are here to be enjoyed. Here, under great skies, Dartmoor offers, especially in uncrowded spring and autumn, the freedom to wander as one wills. Here is space for youngsters to stretch their limbs and play. Space for the family car, a stone's throw from beauty spots like Dartmeet or Two Bridges. A lovely and surprising place, the moor at any season. Round a bend, a sudden gossiping of thatched cottages. Round another, and there, one of Dartmoor's famous pubs. Or if it's tea time, there are Devon farmhouse cream teas with strawberry jam and Devonshire cream, or raspberry jam and Devonshire cream, or blackberry jam and Devonshire cream. Or take the winding road to Widdicombe, whose tall-towered church claims the title of the Cathedral of the Moor. While you think of Widdicombe Fair and Bill Brewer, Jan Stewart, Uncle Tom Cobley and all, reflect that Widdicombe is as good a place as any in Devon to snap up that holiday souvenir. From Dartmoor, all but one of the main rivers of Devon flow, like spokes from the hub of a wheel. Southwards goes the Dart, and where the moorland gives way to softer farmland stands Buckfast Abbey, rebuilt on the site of an ancient abbey demolished at the dissolution. Downstream again, perhaps to take the train from Buckfastleigh to historic Totnes, a steam train service run for public enjoyment by the enthusiastic preservationists of the Dart Valley Railway. It may be quicker, so the slogan goes, by rail. But in a hurried world, why not a more leisurely pace to enjoy the river scenery of Devon? From spring to autumn, the wooded valleys of Devon take on a different hue. And throughout the day, the changing play of light and shadow on leaf and water. Dartmouth, one of Devon's loveliest resorts and home of the Britannia Royal Naval College. In these waters, the great fleets of the Crusades assembled. And today, a new host of little ships, the thousands of pleasure craft the weekend Englishman enjoys. Few places in England can boast such splendid sailing water in such glorious scenery as the south coast of Devon. Water, beaches, and excellent hotels. South Devon resorts need no more recommendation than their names. Dartmouth, Salcombe, Torbay. Teignmouth, Dawlish, Exmouth, Beer, Seaton, Budleigh Salterton, Sidmouth. Resorts in every variety of setting of attraction and of amenity. And drawing them all together, the Queen of the West, Exeter. An old city, a beautiful city, whose 14th century cathedral, the finest example in the country of symmetrical decorated Gothic, boasts a west front with a screen of statues and saints and apostles, martyrs and kings, whose overall effect is lightness, as though a fold of Honiton lace had been hung there. Around the cathedral, you can still find the inns that Drake and Rowley knew. And a little way away, a monument to Devon's seafaring tradition, the Maritime Museum. These craft, assembled to preserve the history and the evolution of craft of all nations, can be visited, poked, prodded, and clambered over, as tough in their retirement as they were in their heyday. Drake was born near Tavistock and lived in Buckland Abbey, north of Plymouth. And today you can visit it, for it too is a naval and folk museum. And Sir Walter Raleigh was born at Hayes Barton near Exmouth, and the house is open to the public every afternoon during the season. The great houses and gardens of Devon are one of her very special prides. Near Budleigh Salterton, and open from Easter to October, is Bicton Gardens, laid out over 2 centuries ago, and so vast that to explore them you travel by vintage bus or miniature railway. There is the conservatory, the Italian garden, the American garden. There is the countryside museum. There are ornamental lakes and rare plants and fountains and all kinds of trees from pines to palms. And talking of trees, all homage to the humble apple, for the orchard is to Devon what the vineyard is to France. But something more substantial than bare feet is needed in the making of that West Country tipple, cider, pronounced, of course, cider or scrumpy. A couple of pints of real rough cider, and there's no telling what adventures can befall the unwary tourist. part of Devon, between Dartmoor and Exmoor, is a land of rolling pasture and farmland, winding roads and humpback bridges, picture postcard cottages and quiet church-steepled villages, which look on market days towards the country towns. Oakhampton, Crediton, Tiverton, Bampton, South Molton. An unhurried land where quiet browsing brings its own rewards. To these towns, past whitewashed, thatch-roofed cottages, men once upon a time came from the moor over ancient stone-arched bridges with pack-horses laden with merchandise. And the rivers that today flow quietly for anglers' sport, the Exe, the Torridge, the Tor, good salmon rivers in their season, were once harnessed for, of all things, industry. It was a gentler industry than we know today, and perhaps for that reason now extinct. But here and there, these old factories have been frozen in time, preserved by amateur enthusiasts and made to work in the way they once did. In this old ironworks at Sticklepath, they made, well, what didn't they make? Reap hooks, bill hooks, spear hooks, twill bills, zexes, cleavers, weed irons, grass hooks, chop hooks, staff hooks, bramble hooks, brawse hooks, furze hooks. Tools whose names recall a way of life half forgotten now. But one still echoed at Torrington in the Mayfair, where the promise of spring is still honoured as it has been since mankind first understood the power of the sun. Spring in Devon, and the hedge banks alive with primroses and campion and violets, and in the woods, dustings of bluebells. For the holidaymaker, spring in Devon opens a new world of colour and freshness and delight, distilled in the many gardens of Devon, proudly presented by their owners for the pleasure of the visitor, by private rota or public invitation. Because spring is the season in which Devon unfolds its first and proudest glory. Lambs, symbol of spring. But these are rather special animals. They are Jacob's sheep, of the breed and stock which were the wealth of Jacob and Isaac and Esau and Abraham. They're at Arlington Court, and through the National Trust belong to the nation. From farming to glassmaking. In Devon, there is a connection. The Dartington Glassworks manufacture, in the middle of rural Devon, handmade glassware of colour and beauty. sale of the glass assists the maintenance of Dartington Hall Trust, which was begun over 40 years ago to promote rural industry, agriculture, education and the arts. Glass again, but for a very different purpose. These great lenses rotating in mercury flash a beam of 1.5 million candle power out towards the Atlantic from the rocky northern coast of Devon at Hartland Point. This coast of Devon, the northern coast, has a beauty all its own, a character forged in the conflict of Atlantic breakers against solid Devonian slate and sandstone. In stormy weather, small boats ran for shelter, as they still do, to one-time fishing harbours like Clovelly, a village clinging to the cliffside. Cottages and cobbled streets cascading like a waterfall down to the harbour. Here, the only form of transport, apart from the occasional donkey, is your own 2 feet. But at Linton, Victorian engineers had a better idea. As one car of their cliff railway descends, weighted with water, its partner rises, and both provide panoramic views of this breathtaking North Devon coastline. The car descends the cliff to Lynmouth, where on the quayside stands a replica of the Rhenish Tower, which once served as a beacon. Its original was destroyed in the Great Flood of 1952, but today you wouldn't know a flood had happened. The Lynn rivers were responsible, torrents tumbling off the heights of Exmoor and joining at the beauty spot of Watersmeet. And nothing in their beauty today betrays their catastrophic power when in unexpected spate. To the east of Lynmouth, Exmoor fronts the sea in great cliffs, and the coast road winds down Countisbury Hill, and the motorist, provided he is careful, is welcome. To the west of Lynmouth, the cliffs sweep on to Ilfracombe, and the footpaths wind along them, and the walker is welcome. And near Linton, that strange hollow of contorted strata, the Valley of the Rocks. The road winds through it, and the tourist is welcome, and the car parks are emptiest in the spring and the autumn. Ilfracombe is a family resort with something for everybody, be they young and very active, or elderly and a little sleepy, or somewhere in between. For everyone, this northern part of Devon offers hospitality to match the scenery. There are luxurious hotels, uncrowded beaches, amenities to suit the most discriminating. Woolacombe and Braunton and Saunton and Westward Ho. Great sweeps of sandy beach and surfing breakers. Appledore and Instow, and the unruffled waters of the estuary of the Tor and Torridge. At Bideford, Charles Kingsley crossed the ancient bridge and wandered on the quay and stayed to write his novels. And at Barnstable, the farmers and their wives come in on market day, and you feel the pull of Exmoor and its ponies and its distant skylines. Here on Exmoor, Blackmore set his famous novel. In the country where the outlawed Doones roamed the remote valleys and foraged across the moor, and the wild stags were hunted down and killed, and Carver Doone took his revenge on Gert Jan Ridd, who won the heart of Lorna Doone. Out of the reality of Devon, Blackmore wove his fantasy of long ago. It is Devon's pride today that visitors still find fulfillment here, not only in the high months of summer, but also in the golden glory of a Devon autumn and the green glory of a Devon spring. Devon, a county for all seasons.